One Piece chapter 1007 is out, and let me tell you guys, this is an interesting chapter. Now, this chapter does a lot to the fandom, but what I really like about what's happening in this chapter is that it makes us think and theorize again. And I think that's one of the strongest points of the One Piece community, is when something happens that really makes us think. Not something that we really like or something that we really dislike, but something that we have to think about, that we have to theorize, that we have to try and understand, especially while we're on a break. I think there are really three main talking points of this chapter, so we're going to hit each of those and talk about those a little bit. The biggest part we're talking about now is Chopper. So this chapter is pretty much dedicated to Chopper and his ability to counteract the virus. What it looks like he's done is he's made his own virus that's in the form of a gas. So basically it's kind of like a Caesar mixture where he's got this gas that he's spreading out throughout the dome, and as long as you inhale it, it'll counteract Queen's virus. Now, I think we all expected Chopper to be able to make the cure. I don't think any of us expected Hyogoro to die, although I think a lot of us would have liked him to die. I think it would have been fitting. I think it would have been a very impactful and interesting moment for Wano. And it would have been more interesting if, maybe he died and then Chopper has the cure. Because that, while I see why that doesn't necessarily fit the One Piece motif, I think that would have been interesting for Chopper to kind of deal with, is that, he wasn't quick enough. Sure, he can save just about everyone else, but, he can't save everybody. Not saying that he needs that, but I think that would be a good area to kind of motivate him to grow more throughout the series. I think for the most part, Chopper is just, he's growing because he wants to be able to cure all diseases. And while that's a good ambition, I think if we don't get reminded of that, if we don't get some kind of amp up to that, it doesn't hold as much weight as everyone else. We've seen Sanji struggle with trying to reach his goals without sacrificing people. We've seen Luffy struggle with trying to be Pirate King, but not wanting to leave his crew behind, not wanting to lose anyone else. So we constantly see struggles from other Straw Hats, and I think seeing one from Chopper would have been nice. But Chopper manages to save Hyogoro and the rest of the people in time. He's got the counteracting virus, and pretty much everyone's thawing. Now, this kind of points to something I said a while ago, mainly with Apu, but with the other Beast Pirates, is that since Queen used them for the virus, they were definitely going to turn on him. At some point, they were going to decide, okay, we have to fight Queen, because no matter what, if we stay on Queen's side, we die. So our only option is to fight against him. So I think this is the turning point where not only do we have Tama's force, but now we have these new Beast Pirates that no longer care to be Beast Pirates. So that number that the CP0 kind of predicted and saw, that number is rapidly changing. We have two entire factions that are now joining the alliance, and there's no way to account for that. Basically, you're going to have the top tier, the top brass of the Beast Pirates going against the army that Kaido basically made. Now, Queen tears into all of the fodder and grunts, basically saying that they don't have any place to be here, they might as well die. And this just kind of adds, flames. Everyone already hates Queen because he put them in the situation, and now he's just, adding fuel to the fire. That's all it really is. We also get Queen talking about how pirates betray. And that's been a constant reminder in Wano, is that at some point in time, you will be betrayed. So I'm waiting to see where that comes into play. Now, the main expectation is Big Mom. We expect Big Mom to betray Kaido at some point and either take Poneglyphs and leave, take Robin and leave. Basically, she's here for a reason. Once she gets to that reason, she's out of here, whether Kaido still wants her to help fight or not. But seeing Queen say it in this chapter just reinforces that idea that there will be a big betrayal. Another cool point is where Marco kind of comes in and holds Queen back so that Chopper can lay a hit in on him. Now, this again goes out to Marco, because Marco has been tangling with the two commanders. He's fighting King and Queen for some time now, and he still has the time and the ability to kind of go back and forth between them. So right now he's focusing on Queen, and he's holding Queen back so that Chopper can lay a hit. And what I imagine is that he just did something to King where he has the time to deal with Queen now. So he's still attacking back and forth. It doesn't look like Perospero has done anything to Marco yet, so it's good to see that here. Second big thing I want to talk about is Momo and the lineage factor. So we see Momo interacting with Yamato and Shinobu, and it looks like he's having some doubts about his effectiveness in this raid. You know, he's talking about he feels pathetic, he feels like he hasn't done anything, and that's understandable. I mean, he immediately got captured, he wasn't able to escape on his own, he's needed the help of everyone around him since the raid began. And I mean, it's to be expected, he's a kid. We can't expect him to be able to do the things that everyone around him can do. And I think he's putting a lot of pressure on himself, which I like. I like the fact that he sees himself as, you know, a figure that needs to be leading the charge, that needs to be able to handle himself. Now, as we know, in stressful situations, Momo tends to transform. He doesn't have control over that transformation yet, so it kind of just pops out when he's really stressed. So at this point in time, he changes into his dragon form, and Yamato and Shinobu see it. Right when this happens, we get dialogue from CP0 talking about the Navy messing with Kaido's lineage factor. Now, if you go back to my Devil Fruit origin video, I talk about something pretty much like this, where basically the Navy, the world government, the people in power were operating and using the lineage factor to create Devil Fruits. Now, what I think they were talking about here is Vegapunk trying to recreate that study they did a while ago. However, it was deemed as a failure and left on Punk Hazard. Now, CP0 is making the comment that, you know, it's a great thing that it's not here right now. It's a great thing that's a failure. It's a great thing that Punk Hazard blew up. But to me, this is a nod that they have more knowledge on what happened there. Because one, it's CP0. They are an information intelligence organization. They would know what's happening on Punk Hazard, you know, since it's been off limits. They have that information, and I wouldn't be surprised if they knew one of the kids had eaten the fruit. So I don't think this is as random as it seems, because it comes out as random. You know, CP0 is randomly talking about this devil fruit that they got from experimenting on Kaido. Like, it's not a normal conversation. I do think they have more information on it, and I do think that's why they brought it up. They expect something to come of that here, and that's why they're talking about it. Now we get to the last part of the chapter, and this is the part that really threw our brains for a loop. The scabbards have been healed, and even Kawamatsu mentions that he's not sure who healed them, but they looked familiar. In that same regard, there's no way that person that he saw could have been there. It's impossible, which makes me think the person that was there was Toki. And as they're talking about that, they start to make their way to the door, which busts open, and we have no one but Odin standing there greeting them. Now, when I put all this together, it makes me think a couple of things. First, Odin is not back. Odin is dead. I do not believe there was any kind of time travel. I don't think Odin somehow didn't die from the bullet in a boiling. I think Odin is dead. So the person we see here and the person that was looking like Toki, I think is the same person. I think what essentially happened was that there's a person who can shapeshift. They turned into Toki to do the healing, and then they left and came back through the doors as Odin. The first person that I would think about is Onimaru, who transformed into Kukimaru in order to protect the weapons. I think this is who we're going to be dealing with as far as who's been shapeshifting into these old characters that the scabbards know and love. Now, there is no explanation as to how Onimaru would have the ability to transform into these two. I don't even know if he would have seen or known these two to be able to copy their likeness. The other options that I see come up are Bon Clay, Katarina Devon, you know, people who have the ability to shapeshift and clone themselves to look like somebody else. I don't think it's either of these two because it doesn't really make sense. You know, why are Bon Clay and Katarina Devon on Wano? Is Blackbeard here and this is their first appearance? They shapeshift into Odin. And then it makes no sense for Mr. 2 to be there. It makes no sense for Mr. 2 to have Odin's face. It makes no sense for Mr. 2 to change into Odin. I also want to point out a couple of things about the Odin copy. Basically, one, he has two swords, which would initially be Amano Habakiri and Enma. But we know Zoro has Enma, and we know where Amano Habakiri is, so Odin can't have those two swords. we also have the dialogue, and I think there's something to be said about not having the exact official translation, but we'll have to see. Essentially, the dialogue has Odin talking to the retainers as if they've all aged the same amount, but we know some people jumped through time from the moment that Odin died, so they shouldn't look that much different from when he saw them before. So for Odin to walk in and say, everyone looks so much different, that doesn't make any sense. Odin would say some people look different, but he should be able to notice the people that look about the same as he did when he last saw them. Basically, there's no way that Odin's back, and I don't think there's a way that Toki's back. I think someone is obviously shapeshifting into them and using those forms and those likenesses to maybe give the scabbards one last boost of energy. Maybe to give them that encouragement as the people that they look up to and regard so highly, using their faces to kind of keep the scabbards going. Otherwise, I see no point in shapeshifting into Odin, because what do you gain from that? It wouldn't be people from the Beast Pirates, because I think that would be a bad thing for Kaido to see. Kaido has been having PTSD with, every time Odin is brought up, so to see Odin in the flesh, that would be a problem. I don't see a real reason why the Alliance would do it, just because everyone in the Alliance, one, they don't have the ability, and two, that's not usually the way they roll. They're not trolls. They wouldn't do that to the scabbards who are part of the Alliance just to, get a rise out of them. It has to be a third party that is trying to help, but is also trying to, not be seen or noticed. Now, while I'm confident that it's not Odin, I really have no idea who it could be. My bet is going to go to Onimaru, but I have no clear idea who would be doing this, which I like. I like the idea that we have to theorize, and we have a very long time to theorize. We're on break, so let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Who do you think it is? Do you think Odin's back, or do you think someone's changing into him? Anyway, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.